The judge ruling late today that Donald Trump and his companies are guilty of fraud. This is a big step, a big victory in the case brought by the New York Attorney General, which has been running for some time. Maya Wiley is here with me, a former civil prosecutor, and David Cay Johnston, a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist. Welcome, David.
Glad to be here with you, Ari.
Glad to have you. Maya and I are looking into the camera. I'm told that we got you by phone, which we'll take, okay? We'll take what we can get of you on a breaking news night. I'm going to put up on the screen something I read just moments ago, again, as we're all trying to make sense of this breaking news. The party's directed to recommend independent receivers to manage the, quote, dissolution of these canceled Trump LLCs. I invite you to analyze what you think that would mean, given your knowledge of how this business runs, as well as your reaction to a ruling on fraud in the Trump org that's a long time coming.
Well, the judge here, in his partial summary judgment, first of all, dismissed Trump's request for summary dismissal of the case against him, and then has made it clear that Trump engaged in all of these frauds. He takes 35 pages to walk through all of the material, and I expect he will appoint a receiver to take charge of the Trump properties, will sell off the assets, pay creditors what they're due, and whatever is owed to the state will come out of this. But this is basically telling Donald Trump and his family, you are unfit to do business in New York. And the standard for doing business in any state is not that high.
So your reading of this, the disillusion language I mentioned, and those so-called receivers, are people that would legally, under court order, essentially be taking some control of these assets during this period. Obviously, this could be appealed. I want to tell viewers it could be appealed or enjoined. But that's your straightforward reading of the business implications of this if it's to go into effect?
Yes. And now, Trump certainly will appeal this. I don't think there's any question about that. He is currently seeking to have the judge removed. He has gotten nowhere with those sorts of efforts. And the judge, and I think this is significant, Ari, to the tenor of this, the judge has imposed sanctions, fines, in effect, on Trump's lawyers. I don't know how many. I haven't read that detail in it yet, but $7,500 on his lawyers for making frivolous arguments. And as you know, and Maya knows, if a judge says to an officer of the court, to a lawyer, this is a frivolous argument, it is the equivalent of saying you're a drunk in a bar, you have no place in a court of law.
Right, because you're allowed to make many arguments that are above frivolous, even if they are what essentially become losing arguments. David, this is one of those breaking news stories. We appreciate you jumping on the phone and walk us through particularly that very specific piece of this. The fraud has been found, and this disillusion language raising a lot of intrigue around New York and the business community here tonight, and a huge setback for Trump and the Trump org. Our thanks to David Cay Johnston. Maya, I want you to stay with me because amidst that fraud setback, Trump has also faced tough legal news, awaiting 2 trials led by DOJ's Jack Smith, including the coup probe, which was, many people know, galvanized by those January 6th committee House hearings that featured Cassie Hutchinson, a veteran of the Trump administration. She spoke out now in a new and large, basically newsmaking interview with Rachel. This was last night. Here's one key part about the mishandling of both evidence and classified material while Trump was in office.
Are you describing what appeared to you to be either mishandling of classified information or mishandling of presidential records, destruction of presidential records, which of course is not allowed?
I was under the impression, and I know there were several of my colleagues that were under the impression, that how classified documents were being handled was not within proper protocol. I think it speaks also just to how reckless and careless much of the administration was.
Hutchinson is out with a book where she's detailing a lot of things. She also has an allegation of sexual misconduct that allegedly occurred on the date of January 6th. Number one, what does it mean for her as a witness with these cases pending, including, of course, the coup case? And number two, what do you think of what she describes there about how they deal with material?
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of concern about anything a potential witness is going to say on news media. Anyone who's trying a case always wants their witnesses to stay quiet until they're in front of a jury. I mean, that said, we're not hearing that much that we didn't already know, except, and I would assume that there'd been some discussion with some of this with prosecutors, but that she has additional allegations. But it's certainly no surprise to hear that anybody in the White House thought that eating paper, flushing it down a toilet, shredding it as you walk down the hall, and loading it on a truck and taking it with you to Florida might just not be consistent with protocol.